good to see, good to be. It's DillyDave and Rhath here hanging out for another Vibe Union podcast. This is episode 41. How are we doing over there?
Good.
Yeah, we made it. We're on the home stretch to 50, and at 50, we're just getting started. This podcast has been going for 2 years, and we're looking at another 2. We just signed the contract with a major platform. And we actually didn't, but we will. I'm just setting the motion out there. Before we really get into what it is, which is the Vibe Union podcast, it's very important to acknowledge that the ground that we're recording on today, the sacred ground, the traditional custodians of this sacred ground that we're recording on today is a combination of the Boonwurrung and the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. So I'd like to pay respects to the elders past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded and history was deleted. How do you feel about that, Ryan?
I like the concept of that last line.
The deletion.
The deletion.
Yeah.
And phonetically delicious.
Yeah, well, we're lucky because we have the capacity to really record our stuff, our history, whereas... the forms in which the Indigenous people recorded their history, there's been a lot of destruction around that, which is how you could pair the term whitewashing with that, I guess. Just remove the removal of other cultures and history. So always good to remember that. But here we are. We're looking forth into the future with everyone who comes here on the Vibe Union podcast. A lot of new shit is happening on the frontier. Right, we've got a new website, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Yourself and Saskia worked on, is that right? Please tell us more. What's on the website? What can we expect?
Vibeunion.com.au. Man, I wish we could have gotten just straight .com, but it was taken.
I think the AU is somewhat...
I think it's actually appropriate. Yeah. The marketing mind in me was like, shorten it. I want everything as short as possible. But the other side of things is represent Australia, represent Melbourne. Vibeunion.com.au is live. I put it off for a long time, but we got a couple of bucks to put towards it, so we did.
Yeah.
It's events, primarily events. It's your calendar. It's when you need to know what you were going to do with your weekend. There's only one stop you need to go, and that's vibeunion.com.au.
It used to be Eventbrite, but no longer. Now it's vibeunion.com.au because we actually host just as many events as Eventbrite at this point. Thousands a month. Do you want to go through our monthly event lineup?
Sure. Off the top of my head, this month coming up, 2nd of February, is Talking Blue, our fortnightly poetry open showcase. We had the biggest one yet 2 weeks ago, which was huge. We had our first headliner, and Jaden brought through quite a crowd, also giving quite a performance. Brought the vibe. So easily our biggest poetry night ever, and hopefully we're just going to keep growing those numbers.
Absolutely. It's the coolest poetry night, spoken word night that you'll ever play around with. It's very exciting. I
always felt weird to say that it's cool because we put it on, but it is cool. It is cool. It's in a club. It's not in your local library.
Right.
It's in a club.
It's in a club. It encourages and entices all types. Whether you're somebody who's just dabbling with poetry the first time, or somebody who's kind of like a seasoned performer who just wants another opportunity to test something, run something, show something to a very captive and engaged audience. I tell you what, there's nothing more magic than the energy and the attention in the room of Talking Blue. People. They really tune in and focus to what's happening there on stage. And I think one of the elements, aside from the artist poet who's talking at the time, is the fact that we have a musician to accompany these poets. I mean, that's a cool selling point, like a feature that's quite different from other spoken word nights.
It's actually something my dad used to do. He when I told him about this poetry night, he was like, that's fun. I used to do that when he first moved to Melbourne from Canada, and I don't know when this was. I want to say the 80s,
right?
Maybe early 80s, I think. terrible with times and also dating people, including my own father. But nonetheless, he was
Did
like
you used to date your own father?
dating him.
I know.
Scientifically. Cutting him open and counting the rings.
That's the only way I date.
It's the only way I'm dating my father. He would sit in cafes and like play just acoustic guitar behind poets and stuff like that at poetry night. So I thought that was a fun little kind of another treading the footsteps. Of my
that was a beautiful thing
lineage.
to pass on. Just a quick call back to the website and what's on the website.
Yep.
The tip jar. So you got a tip jar up there. Currently one of our biggest donations. I mean, it's not all about donations, blah, 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 but shout outs again to Damien Murati for putting down $50 towards the Vibe Union cause. He's not setting the standard for anyone, but if you ever feel like contributing to the Vibe Union cause, essentially the money will go towards further production of our events, further promotion of our events, and just growing spaces for other people. So we're not just pocketing it, we've got plenty of things to put the money towards. So
Paying artists,
exactly.
We put that money into artists' pockets, which is really which is such a good feeling.
Absolutely. So that's Talking Blue.
Yeah.
What's next? What else after Talking Blue?
After Talking Blue, February 5th is the Dusty Sessions. It's the first one of the year.
Yep.
This is a folk blues singer-songwriter showcase, scouring kind of like the Instagram to find some of the best up-and-coming local singer-songwriters from the Melbourne scene.
Yeah.
Put them onto a beautiful stage hosted by Kelsey Jean and Georgia Delaney Martin, with an impeccable sound system and vibe and space at Bar 303 in the heart of Melbourne's North Kit. On that High Street tip. That's a good spot. That's the first venue I ever performed at in Melbourne. It feels good to be going back.
Wow.
This is all we're on History Lane today. We're going down History Road.
You really are. That was your first place that you performed at. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's either that or IDGAF, which is now Mr. Boogeyman Bar. So those are the two venues, and
full return.
And then Mr. Boogeyman Bar, mention of. That would be the next event after the second Talking Blue, which is on the 16th of Feb. 17th of Feb is The Floor Is Yours. This is the second one we've done in person. This is an open mic to all forms of expression, be you a dancer, a poet, a hip-hop rapper, a DJ. Perhaps you've got a plank of wood, strung some guitar string across and banged in a pickup.
Yeah.
And you call it an instrument. Come on down.
DIY or DI... I'm not going to say DIE. I just did. But yeah, all of it's welcome. You could be a puppeteer. You could be whatever it is. Floor Is Yours is great, hosted by Ivory Archer and Amutha. So yeah, I mean, Vibe Union don't mess around when it comes to hosts, experiences, and shows. And the last thing that generally rounds off the month
Last one, almost always the last Saturday every month, is State of Oscillation, which is my baby, which is house music from 2 until 11 p.m. Three of us making up Tandem Reserve, a little DJ trio, myself, Georgia Delaney Martin, and AB1. Sit on the decks and choose house tunes and disco tunes and techno tunes, while Amutha whips out her paint palette, opens up the canvas to the public. We all collectively slap some paint on the canvas together and kind of express ourselves that way.
Yeah, so it's like Vibe Union meets Art Attack.
I like that there's almost always an open mic form, and I like that we've gotten that into State of Oscillation in the form of visual open mic in a sense. Yeah,
I guess there's not too many DJ type events where people can kind of get their hands dirty and participate in some kind of creative manner.
Yeah.
Instead of just dancing to it, which is strongly encouraged. So yeah, that's all of them great reasons to go on the Vibe Union website. All of them great reasons to follow Vibe Union in the first place. Right, we put on these 4 distinct events every month. One of them runs twice a month.
Yeah.
So that means we're putting on
roughly five events a month.
And a new one emerging. You want to tell us about the newest event emerging?
Yeah.
I know we can't say any names, maybe aside from one that's on.
I'm blown out. There we go. I can't confirm artists yet, but we can confirm. Well, we can confirm one artist since he's sitting right here. It's me.
Rhath.
Old Rhathy boy. Yeah, new series of hip hop showcases. We teed it off with a special showcase, a special big shout out to Sixpence for the Sixpence Effect.
Sixpence.
And we thought that was a great trial run. Not a trial run. It was a huge night. But
Yeah.
I wanted to test this concept. I wanted to, and who better to kind of test that concept and find out what works than Sixpence. And so that went off at 3:03.
Yep.
And now we've got a new showcase coming up called Mortal Cadence,
Mortal Cadence.
which is going to be Vibe Union showcasing who we think is the up-and-coming rappers and hip-hop people of Melbourne.
Not just up and coming, I will say. This is kind of the moment where we tap into established heads and we really try and headhunt like the talent with some cool following, people who have been very active, people who haven't been slacking, they're ready to go, they're ready to hit the stage hard. And a cool part about the Mortal Cadence event is the freestyle cypher sections in between, depending on how the night runs. It's either going to be one or two of these little sections or sessions hosted by Sixpence and Journeyman.
Yeah.
And Kai on the decks.
Yeah, DJ Kai on
Kai on the decks. So essentially, we'll be spinning some nice instrumentals. You'll be able to go up there, have a bit of a spit, hopefully freestyle, but if you've got a little written, then we're all here to hear it. And what we want to cross over kind of like nights like the dojo. And if you don't know about the dojo, it's in the same place as Talking Blue on the other Wednesday, which is this big, massive cypher freestyle night hosted by Mono the Messenger. Big shout outs to them and what they do. You'll often find us kicking it there as well. You'll always find me kicking it there as well, shooting you on the cam, straight from the hip. But the crossing over of the freestyle and then like the showcase element to kind of involve as many people as we can in that space, I think is going to be a big fucking selling feature of Mortal Cadence.
Yeah, I'm excited. And first one featuring myself. I was supposed to be at the Sixpence, but bloody COVID tests waiting too long.
Yeah.
Keen to take the stage, and I'll be showcasing a bunch of new material.
New shit.
Work, yeah.
New
fucking
shit.
Cool as hell.
Absolutely. So if you've got a handful of reasons to follow Vibe Union, and big ups to everyone who's followed us through these podcasts in the past. Like, we're not always sure about how many people see it and what people think. It can be maybe hard as an audience member or a viewer of a podcast to kind of pipe in and give feedback or anything. But we know that there's enough people out there that appreciate it for us to keep going, so we will keep going weekly. I tell you what, right? The last few podcasts actually that I've been back on hosting with Hugh, the one before that was Ryu.
Yeah.
Like, it's really cool when we're able to talk to people who are kind of like who have been either put on or associated through Vibe Union. And we get to kind of reflect on their experience of being on a Dusty Sessions lineup, or going to Talking Blue, the episode with Ryu, where we were pretty much outside Blue Bar talking about Talking Blue and then like that spoken word experience, and then able to, in that podcast, see some of Ryu's performance. We're trying to give you really cool insights as to what we're doing out in the scene, and we don't stop doing, do we?
No.
Man, was that a question for me? Or?
Yeah, sorry, it was not. It was concentrating on the camera being blown out.
Well, who cares? This is more.
I shouldn't be focusing on such things.
It's more of an audio experience here.
Yeah. In the moment with DillyDave.
In the moment with DillyDave. Talking about being in the moment. Cheers.
Let's get one of these in.
Boom.
Okay.
Cheers to all the vibers out there. I tell you what, right? It's been a big weekend.
Yeah.
Live music is happening. For those who think that it's not and are like confused about restrictions, this, that, and the other, I tell you what, it's happening, whether it's at venues or outside of venues. Mm-hmm. On Friday night, I was at 303, Bar 303, hosting a night for Madstalk, who's been on a number of Vibe Union bills and lineups and is a good friend of ours. Ruben. He put together a nice lineup for his Rhyme Slays version 2 a night. Headlining was Fresh Violet, who ripped it. You know, she's getting close to veteran status now. She's been kind of kicking in the scene since 2017. Collaborated with a bunch of people, got a bunch of music videos, got albums, got vinyl, got a whole lot of shit happening. So she was performing. Ruka, who's just like this heavy hitting set up punchline banger guy who's very much into the boom bop. The boom bop. The boom bop. Is that the boom bop?
From the 50s.
From the 50s, yeah, exactly. Boom bap. He's great and also pairs up quite often with Old Man Stones, who's a regular at our open mics and a bunch of our events, actually. So they had a set each and also shared some tracks as well. They were powerhouses. There was also Izzy. There was a whole lot of very classic hip hop happening. Madstalk went up as well, and he, he's very cerebral, very. You got to be on the edge of your chair to tune into what's happening there. But yeah, he's really got this intricate flow down, and he speaks of a lot of good causes as well. Like there's some good intent behind his bars. And Paradox, who's a big hitter who brought a bunch of people. He kind of tied the night off at the end, and yeah, we hit capacity. We hit 50 plus heads in the space, so people are looking to come out to these events. There's good energy, there's good vibes. So if there's any apprehension for people coming out to events, you know, do what you got to do to feel safe to go out. But I tell you what, there's spaces that are ready for you to enjoy and get around in. And that was just Friday night. On Saturday night, my God, Rye. For those who don't know D-Rad MC, some people would identify him as a bit of a renegade. He's certainly somebody who lives true to, a hip-hop anti-establishment ethos, right? Like, he doesn't want to live within the system. If he can dabble and tread the line of the grid, he will and does. But he would put on, he's recently, well, over the past maybe 6 to 12 months, he's worked on this mixtape, the Goodie Bag, which I believe is 12-ish tracks or so. So yeah, in the last 6+ months, in his own room and setup, has recorded all of these tracks. He's got you to mix one or two of them. He's got a few people to kind of get involved with the production and post-production elements. But yeah, he's put together this mixtape, and then he's decided to rally a handful of really cool artists, including Old Man Stones, Amutha, Journeyman, Sixpence, Toomey the Bee, Trix William, Sneakerheads, and myself. I put myself last just because, you know, it's called grammar. That's just how it works.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. You put your... Yeah.
Grammar?
The fuck is that? Yeah. Keep going.
So what D-Rad did, he was able to hit up DJ Kai, to use the warehouse space that they have out in Coburg North. Great, cool warehouse space that they've used for like little events before in the past, but it's essentially warehouse, and right next to it or around it is like junkyard, scrapyard area full of all these bits and bobs of pieces and engines and bikes and all kind of shit. Anyway, he put on all these artists, he organized some food on the spot, drinks on the spot, bits and pieces, and there was somewhere between, I think a peak number, like 60, 70 people in the space that came out. Some big heads, some old heads, some fresh faces, some people who, somehow just stumbled across the party because there was another like little party thing gathering happening up the street, and because so many people started going there thinking that it was the event that Dylan was putting on, they had to put a sign up at their event kind of directing people to our event, and people who went to their event initially just ended up coming to D-Rad. So we had this cool funnel of people that were like a little bit random and unknown.
Fuck yeah.
But yeah, what happened was this recreation of like this 90s house party, warehouse party, type of thing where, you know, you'd have performances, DJs kind of doing whatever, some moments of freestyle, and the night went off. A massive success. D-Rad ripped his set. We were able to peep some of the music videos that D-Rad and myself have worked on over the years. I think we've made like 7 music videos in the past 2 years together.
Yeah, right.
Which is wild to think. But yeah, a great example. And if you're not following D-Rad MC, look him up on Instagram, please. Give it a peep. He's got a goodie bag out on Spotify. He's got music to listen to. It's all great. My favorite track is Haters, I think. Haters.
Is that fuck you, fuck you, fuck you?
That's fuck you, fuck you,
Yeah.
fuck you.
It's one of those hooks that seems... Oh, I'll be honest, seems crass. Seems...
Not very tactful.
not very tactful. But there's very few hooks that... without knowing him, you walk into a room and that hook's happening, you're like, well, all right, fine, yeah, I'm on board.
I'm in.
I'm in now. Especially in that setting, especially in like in a more underground setting for D-Rad.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually kind of, I think it actually illustrates the perfect hook. I think in
It's a perfect hook.
in a sense.
Because
After the second fuck you,
right,
you get it.
You get it.
Fuck you, fuck you. You know what's coming next.
And the cool thing is you can interpret it however you want. You can direct it at whoever you want. You can direct it in a comical way, just like, fuck you, Rad.
Direct it back at
Right.
D-Rad.
At D-Rad, if you're like, you know, actually, fuck you, your music's shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you, you're still part of it. He's still,
I'm sure he'd like it.
and sure he'd love that.
He's a combative dude.
It's all energy that he can feed off and work with.
Yeah.
So big things, you know, like not only inside of Vibe Union, we don't just talk what's happening inside of Vibe Union, but outside in the scene, so many cool things to take part in. For me, very exciting. I feel like there's always shit going on. Maybe this is just like the honeymoon summer period, right? But I think that shit's just gonna keep chugging along.
You could say it's a honeymoon summer period, or you could see that like we've sort of had to lie half dormant for 2 years, and even now things are up in the air. But with the increased uncertainty and control from certain governmental bodies, we're not here to discuss such things. What we are here to discuss, though, would be the effect that has on people.
Yeah.
And maybe the underground's like really fucking, and maybe the underground's 70 people in a warehouse. Maybe that's all it needs to fucking be, and like these people are hungry and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Because you know, I've got respect for people who don't want to conform to, you know, whatever's happening, and if they feel like they can't act within this particular you know, new set of restrictions and rules, then I understand that there's ways around that, right? Like I would, you know, anyone who was thinking about putting on an event at a venue and is like, can't do that because of whatever reason, there's other ways, there's other spaces, and people will come if you're like committed enough to your cause. I think, you know, D-Rad is committed enough to his shit to make it happen and to bring the energy and to kind of get the right people on board. So yeah, God, don't be disheartened. Just fucking make it happen. Talking about making it happen, right. Normally with these podcasts, I interview people.
Yeah.
You're a you know, a hell of a producer. I know you've been working on a lot of things recently.
Yeah.
But what you have done for me over the past 6 to 12 months is help me create an EP, my second EP.
Second EP in a short amount of time.
Yeah, you could say that. The
Timelines are kind of funny the way they've come about.
Right. So the last EP I released is almost fresher in terms of written lyrics and stuff to what I've got now, but the production and the whole like piece of what's happening now, this is like futuristic and fresh. I'm talking about the Milky Bar Kid EP, full of features, right? Full of this soundscape, which will transport you out of Earth, which is necessary in this point in time. Rhath, if you had to kind of point towards 2 or 3 things that you think are like interesting or fun to talk about when it came to like the production and working on this EP, where would you start?
I think, as you already alluded to, the transportative nature of it.
Yeah.
That was I stumbled through that sentence.
Transportative nature.
This is probably the soundscape-wise the work I'm most proud of in terms of creating a cohesive experience and vibe. Otherworldly. This has got it's very much got its own tone. Each track is very different, but it all meshes together so seamlessly. But I would not say this is your standard hip hop production. This is soundscape. This is texture. And world building. World building, both in lyricism met with the production. I think is perfectly gelled.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting because this whole journey started arguably 2 years ago, right?
At the fucking start of the pandemic. I think the first thing that we ever cancelled due to the pandemic, that day, we live streamed us making a track in my bedroom. And then we went out and shot a music video. It was about the end of the world. There's dumb shots of Dilly with a sanitizer wipe as a face mask hanging from his thing, looking like a
beard kind of thing.
Looking
a
like
sanitary beard.
A sanitary beard. Shot out near my place. Shot and edited. I think released like that day.
Within the space of 4 to 6 hours, we made the track, put it down. And that was the first version of Too Late, which is now the last track of the EP. And that's where we started making stuff.
That would have been like the first thing.
Maybe we'd started a bit of Vibe Union stuff before that, had we, or nay?
We must. No, because I feel like it was pre-Vibe Union because we were going to a Vibe Union
jam
hangout,
thing.
A jam,
that weekend.
That's fucking crazy. I'm wondering if we had 2 tracks. Okay. Because I think I had an EP that I was working on of stuff with other people, including 2 from yourself. So there was What a State and maybe something else, which then became Vibe Union tracks.
After the fact.
So we had started working previously. And then that became Vibe Union.
So that track was like probably...
within the first 3 things.
And only like maybe 2 or 3 weeks before we were like, this is Vibe Union, and now we're doing Vibe Union stuff. Just on the cusp of lockdown. Exactly. Which is fucking crazy. That late March, you know, just when everything was kind of happening, and we sensed it, we knew it, like, you know, the energy was in the air, and anyway, it was cool that, you know, we made that version then, and what we did is, like, we kind of stripped it back, changed it. Rhath over the past few years has gone from being proficient and precise to pompous and godly, you know? Just unapologetic, a whole lot of fuck you, a whole lot of like, I know how to do this. Great transformation to see. And I'm very lucky because I got like one of the most Rhath verses on this Too Late track. You practically sign us off at the end. Tearing out a lung halfway through as well. Lost half a lung. Definitely spitting blood at the end. It's really cool. And tracks that I had been playing with for like, you know, a year or so before that I had found, you know, random YouTube beats behind, you know, Milky Bar Kid and I Ain't From the Hood. Rhath and I went through this process of rebuilding, like remaking these tracks for the EP, so it's like all Rhath production, co-created by myself, of course, you know, a bit of creative direction in there. But yeah, Rhath went from being like, I can't remake beats to I can remake beats better. Well, that transition from relatively competent and eager to please to pompous and godly. Godly, godlike.
came from that period. Started, I feel like, within those 2 months prior to lockdown, like working with you, working with Amutha, Mash,
Vidon Data as well.
Vidon Data at the time, smashing some shit out. But then we had 2 years of lockdown, essentially, like 2 years on and off of lockdown, forced into making music every day.
Yeah.
To keep our sanity.
To literally keep our sanity, absolutely.
I've had so many moments recently of like, people I used to think like, oh man, they're so far above me, or I can't hold a torch to these people, I can't hold a candle to these people, because they went to school or some shit. And then I realized, I've kind of gone through this transition recently of realizing like, oh, I've got 2 years of solid like daily mixing experience, mastering experience. Mastering, I'm in a bedroom still, so there's only so much you can do.
Right.
Beat making, can't speak highly enough of just for being forced to work.
Yeah, getting your hands dirty, or having like either routine or like a daily practice, or like this is kind of thing where you just get weird and obsessed with the thing, and that's the only way to get good at it is to not being able to put it down. And sure, you can go to university or TAFE and do a course and a thing. But if you just kind of like...
All good things to do as well. I'm not shitting on university. Sure. Go to uni. Get schooled. Good stuff.
Sure, but also, if you don't do that, get your hands dirty, just partake in whatever it is, often. Network with people who you identify either being better than you at what you do, or different to what you do, or kind of doing a similar same thing. All these types of people will be able to add to your thing, help you reflect on your thing, give you some kind of gauge feedback. But not only did you like sit, in front of your desk and make shit all the fucking time for yourself and other people, and said yes to a whole lot of things. You kept on saying yes.
To a fault at times.
To a fault, but yeah, it's it can be part of it. You got to learn the limitation and boundary around that, and there's only one way of doing that, and that's overdoing it. But you went to gigs. You saw what people were doing. You were listening. You were like identifying elements that you could use in your own shit. And
both impressed and unimpressed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Unimpressed. So an element of that is going to a thing, being like, oh shit, my sound holds up. My production holds up. Therefore, you're not going to be as hesitant and second guessing what you're doing, right?
Yeah. We also not only. I mean, this is sort of
Are you going to gas us up a bit more?
I was going to gas. I'm saying we're gassing me up a little bit at the moment, but I also think like this also speaks to what we've done with VU, with all of us. Is that not only because I've seen people who do that. I've seen people who sit down at the computer for 2, 5, 10 years and just work on shit.
Jesse Jackson.
Oh, I don't want to say Jesse Jackson because I don't actually want to put a name to this because this is this is more of a bad point.
Okay, well.
Scrap Jesse Jackson because he actually makes mean beats.
He makes amazing shit.
He actually does this, but he also gets results. So I guess that's another lesson in
he's
whatever technique works for you, whatever pattern works for you.
He's the rare recluse that gets results.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesse Jackson aside.
But we've done all these things, but we also put them out constantly. So like we could have spent the last 2 years working on a single project, which like this EP is sort of that.
Right.
But we could have, because it started at the start of the pandemic, and then it's kind of getting released now.
Yeah.
And it's been on this wild journey.
Yeah.
But through that entire thing, we have put out other stuff, and we've experienced other things. So like you can hear. I mean, Too Late Man's a perfect example. Too Late Man standard, pretty good. It sounded okay at the start.
It was fun.
But the new version hits so much harder than the first version. It's actually ridiculous.
Oh, it's disgusting.
And I think that has only come forward because we kept moving. So yeah, like the fact that like VU was putting out, it wasn't just making a track and mixing it and I kind of think, okay, well I'll go towards a project. Yeah. No, I was like, oh, we finished it, we'll release it now.
Yeah.
And same with our material, like I put out an album during the last 2 years, you put out an EP, we've both put out single tracks and stuff like that here and there.
And performed a shitload.
Yeah. And put on events a shitload.
Put on events
Met
a shitload.
Artists,
Yeah, exactly.
Interacted with them in a professional sense and
Yeah.
saw what flows don't work, like what workflows work, what workflows don't work. Sort of trial by fire, but just like, I think that approach of like sitting down just working for 2 years is one thing, but just sort of starting to do it as if you are a professional working musician.
Right.
Just start doing it, and it's amazing how quick you will get really proficient.
Yeah, you gotta. There's this kind of like there's this gap or space where you want your thing to hit this high, and currently it's hitting this high. But if you enter a space where you're presenting your shit here and you can access people that are up here, you're slowly like, bridging this gap between your ideal state and desired state or product or produce or whatever it is, and where you're sitting. I mean, everyone's going to enter the marketplace, potentially pretty low. And when you enter there and you see people up here, some people get discouraged.
Oh, yeah.
But the idea is not to get discouraged, is to fucking be inspired and understand that is something you can kind of work towards. So for me, like, being, like, collaborating with a whole lot of artists that are, like, varied in skill level and varied in approach, style, flavor, varied in temperament and personality, all of these things help add to not only my own shit, but how I engage with, like the scene. And if you're not privy to what's happening in the scene, then you're like, you're operating and making in a vacuum, and who knows if your shit's gonna be able to, enter the marketplace and be well received, because you don't even know what the marketplace is.
That's where I get to all the time. I'm always thinking about like the American scene and
Right.
like the people I'm listening to for inspiration, which is also good to like, work towards, compare yourself to, be inspired by, but these are heights that are ridiculous to aim for, which is not bad to aim for higher heights,
Right.
but when you're comparing yourself to the Coles, the Kanyes, or the fucking Michael Jacksons, or
Right.
the fucking Beatles, or fucking pick any artist that just is at the stratosphere of popularity and talent.
Right.
You compare yourself to that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's sort of blinding to kind of what you're making.
Yeah, well, you got to expose yourself to what's happening around you. We got world-class shit happening right here in Melbourne, right in front of our fucking eyes, within arm's reach. And if you are not appreciating and kind of engaging with that and letting that rub off onto you, then, I don't know, there's just like, to try and put too much focus on like the American market and scene being, from Melbourne and Australia, it's unrealistic. It's a different beast. And if you're not embracing the environment and your origin, like where you're from, then if you ever do make it to such a height, then the actual people and the place that you came from, they won't back you because you were never backing them. You were never with them, Deep breaths.
I'm introspective now. Because is that a...
No, it's nothing.
Talk to me.
I was going to say, okay, so moving on from what Rhath and myself have been cooking up, which is a little bit self-serving for me, but, I found it really hard to talk about and share my shit of late. I'm in this space where, like, I mean, it's almost like, who cares what I'm doing? I'm not super extroverted about my music on Instagram or whatever. I used to be in a space where, like, every couple of days or weeks I'd upload a little freestyle video or something, but there was a period of time where it became kind of meaningless, I guess. So sidestepping away from me, you've also been working on an EP with Username.Unknown, aka Jason the carrot holder. Somebody who... So Jason's the MC of Talking Blue. It was brought into the Vibe Union fold by MQ, by Marshud. Congratulations on his recent marriage, by the way. Hopefully you're listening to this mash.
Proposal.
Proposal? Did you not see the photos recently?
Yeah, it's a
engagement.
It's an engagement.
Well,
Engagement.
on the engagement, I imagine the marriage has to come after the engagement, doesn't it?
That's the only way it works. As far as I'm aware. No, that's not true. Actually, I think you can get. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Anyway, big ups. Hopefully you're listening to this. All love. Hopefully you're spreading the Vibe Union word overseas. But Jason's this guy who came into the Vibe Union fold through MQ. Maybe initially, I guess he did come in through being like a hip-hop lyricist.
Yeah.
But almost new in the waters of.
For sure.
So working with Jason and knowing Jason pretty well and seeing him, I guess, go from like his first live performance to now like recording his first EP with you, just give us some fucking feedback or commentary or reflection on that, Rye.
Well, definitely seeing just growth of character. I mean, I guess I think I could apply that line to literally everyone in the inner circle of the. No, it's not that it's elitist. In the most familiar faces of Vibe Union.
Right.
But yeah, there's an aggression. There's an aggression to his delivery now, which and a passion, which is really exciting to see. Which I think comes just from confidence, from being around people who keep telling him like, yeah, do it. We're here for it. One more, please. Can we get? That was a good track. Can we get another one? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's also been an exciting process for me. I've really enjoyed working with someone who he sort of throws up his arms a little bit in terms of like, man, you're the producer. I'm writer. I produce. I'm a writer and I'll rap for you. But give me something to put it to, and then dress it up. And that's kind of really nice having that trust from him. While we work quite differently, where it's much more hands-on for you, which also that's another thing that I also really enjoy that. But it's an interesting, just kind of a different approach to it.
They're two different experiences in the studio, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a lyricist through and through.
Yeah. He writes hard, and now he can write to the beat and ride a beat, and that's a lethal combination. If you got something to say and you say it well, and you're on the beat, that's all we can ask for. Yeah. I mean, what else is there to ask for?
He's becoming more unapologetic, which again, I think I could say that about almost all of us.
Yeah.
Coming from confidence, being told like, yes, keep going.
And where did you get some of your unapologetic, confident vibes from? And I'm not talking about me, but there is somebody else who may have had an influence or impact on you. True. Hopefully I'm planting the right name. We did mention it before.
We mentioned it before?
Up front in this podcast.
Could say Georgia.
Okay, we didn't mention Georgia, but yeah, that's cool. But you had it before that.
One of the
most recent live performances I was talking about over the weekend.
D-Red MC?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I think so, because D-Red challenges me.
Exactly.
D-Red and me have had political arguments.
Yeah.
And
respectful ones.
Yeah, he's actually become sort of my gold standard of someone who I disagree with wholeheartedly on lots of things, but I can see where we, like, at our core, are actually coming from a very similar place. We just disagree on kind of like the finer points, but always seem to walk away with a mutual respect, as I hope is is
he speaks very highly of you, man. No doubt.
That's good to hear. I haven't seen him in a minute, and I unfortunately missed his performance this weekend, for I was on the beach getting burnt to a crisp instead.
Being a little lobster boy.
A little lobster boy.
So yeah, shout outs to Jason. Do you know what the name of the upcoming EP is?
No, I don't.
And is it going to come out in the next month or two, or?
Great questions.
Who knows?
I need to mix it.
You need to mix it?
I need to finish it.
Okay, cool.
I need to finish it, yeah.
So it could be April-ish, potentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is we're making stuff. We're growing. We're vibing. We're enjoying. We're open source. We're here to play. We're here to stay. We ain't fucking around, but we do have a good time. Anyone, like any artist or anybody, I mean, everyone's really an artist at the end of the day. But if anyone's looking for an opportunity to do anything, you know, speak their truth, play their music, we've got platforms, you know, and we're happy to kind of extend the arm of Vibe Union and welcome more people into the fold. But to do that, you got to subscribe to this channel. You got to follow us on. No, I'm kidding. But please do subscribe. Follow our shit. You know.
Yeah.
Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. You know, if you tap onto at least Facebook and Instagram, you'll know when our events are happening.
Yeah.
Jump on the website. We've got a. Do we have a functional emailing set up now? In terms of. Do we send anything out to anyone at the moment?
Oh, I'm sending a weekly newsletter or something like that.
Got a weekly newsletter?
I don't know how to sign up for that off the top of my head. Great fucking point.
Right.
What I would say is, just come to events.
Yeah.
So Instagram, Facebook, vibeunion.com.au.
Yeah.
Come to events and talk to us. Because not only are the events... Humbly, I'd love to say that it's fucking amazing. I have a great time putting them on. I know that everyone else has a great time being part of it. Just also watching and enjoying the space. Having a conversation. Come sit out the back. Have a joint with Dilly.
Yeah.
He'll
Soak it up.
He's always the best. He's the blood, the heart pumping of conversation out the back at all times.
I'm one of the resident psychonauts.
Start there, but we got stages, and we got beats, and we got producers, we got mixing engineers, we got people who are filming you.
Yeah.
We got amazing photographers.
Yeah.
Whatever you need is here. Come to events and have a chat.
Come to events, have a chat.
Yeah.
Rye, aka Rhath. It's a pleasure for us to do another podcast together. It's been a little while.
A fucking minute.
It's been a minute.
Which is ridiculous because I'm working on Vibe Union shit like every fucking day.
Yeah, which means you can't work on everything that's Vibe Union.
That's true.
And there is so much that is Vibe Union. Thank you everyone for dropping through for another installment episode of the Vibe Union podcast, episode 41. These will normally be released on Mondays. There might be a little leniency, maybe it pops up on a Tuesday, but normally keep your eyes out for that Monday Eve where this shit pops. Keep doing you, keep vibing. Rye, any final words?
Nah, follow us. Follow me, Rhath Music. Rhath_music, Instagram. New shit coming.
DillyDave, wherever you may find it. New shit. Loving it all time. Peace in the multiverse.
Yeah!